Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about 6 points. Number one, my own journey in short. Number two, one initiative where I've got formally engaged. What will be my role here in this initiative? Number four, today is a great day for all of us and I'll explain to you why it is. And number five, the importance of financial literacy in India. And being associated with the telecom sector for the last 20 years very deeply, I would like to take this opportunity to tell you the latest in the telecom sector in India, particularly in COVID times. So I started my journey many years back when I graduated in mechanical engineering from IIT Kharagpur. Then I went on to do my master's degree in finance and marketing at the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. And after that, I started my corporate journey by joining Hindustan Lever as a management trainee, and later on I worked in the founding team of PepsiCo, where I worked for a decade. And after that I joined the telecom industry in Idea Cellular Limited, and then later superannuated at the age of 60 from Tata Teleservices, and after that I've been a global management consultant. So one initiative where I have got formally engaged is with a person whom I actually met a few years back, about 4 years back, a young dynamic person who had entrepreneurial passion, zeal in his eyes, a sparkle in his eyes, and I knew he was about to do something very interesting. He was always interested in the social sector. He helped farmers. He created a brand called Edinback, where he used to sell vegetables sourced from farmers. Then I asked him slowly that why don't you slowly start influencing society, the larger sections of society. And because of his experience, his large international global experience in stockbroking and investment banking, etc. So I told him, why doesn't he walk in the financial sector? And he readily agreed to that. And that is where he is in today. So what will be my role in this particular company, in his company? My role will be that I will be conducting every week the 5 p.m. guest lecture, which is held on Saturdays, where industry experts from various sectors will come and talk with an angle to the stock market, but basically talk about the sector, about the intricacies of the sector, and the growth of that sector given our current COVID times. The fourth point, which I told you, that today is a great day for all us. Why is it a great day for us, all of us? Because the young man whom I met, as I told you, 4 years back, he has started a new initiative only a few months back. What was that initiative? His initiative was to increase the financial literacy in India. But how? He formed an online education system where he would like to talk to everybody about financial literacy, about the stock market. All of us know about this gigantic stock market. We dabble in it here and there. But he wanted to actually train people up on the basics of the stock market and how to go about handling this big giant. And he set up an online training program in which he has personally got videos, a large number of videos. And this training program is for about 3 months, though the videos are accessible over a year. And he has already in the last few months have had 30,000 paid subscribers on this platform who are regularly and actively visiting the platform and very enamored by all the lectures and the guest lectures which he has there. The fifth point is, why is financial literacy so important in India? Because in India, all of us, we want to keep our money intact. We want to invest in the money. We want to grow the money. But we are not aware of how to grow the money. We are not aware of how to keep our money growing, compounding at the rate at least of inflation. So our knowledge of finances and personal finances are very poor for an average Indian. And this is what Kundan Kishore.in had set out to do. People don't even know how capitalism grew in the world or in India, that how money compounds itself. As all of you know, we sleep, but money never sleeps, and if you have invested rightly, the money is compounding even when you are sleeping. Money is considered as a measure of success. It is a means to an end, not an end in itself, because if it was an end in itself, we would have not had this journey for so long. The proper use of money actually brings prosperity to both society and individuals. And this is all about financial literacy and how you enter the stock market. What do you have to do in the stock market to make yourself active there and slowly start compounding your wealth. And finally, all of you, I'd like to talk a little bit about the telecom sector, since I'm already here and I've been associated with the sector for the last 20 years. The telecom sector in India was completely, in the 1950s after independence, was completely controlled by the government. And over a period of time, they have liberalized the sector, primarily in the 1980s and 90s, when they had the national telecom policy, when they invited private players to come in, particularly in setting up, by that time the mobile phone was invented, but particularly in setting up the wireless part of the industry. And as you know, over a period of time, there were many, many players which came into the Indian market, and there has been a lot of mergers and acquisitions. And finally, it has boiled down to three large players in the private wireless sector, other than the government player, which is Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited and Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, MTNL. Other than that, we have three large Indian private sector players, which are Bharti Airtel, Idea Vodafone, and of course Reliance Jio. So these are the three large players. The market is now settling down to having business with these three large players. Now, wireless telephony, because of the prolific use of mobile phones, that is something which you always have in your hands. It is an always on state. Even a laptop, you call it online, but you have to put on the laptop and then you are online. But in a mobile phone, you don't have to do anything. It's always on and it's in your pocket. And the type of mobile internet penetration in India is probably is certainly the second largest in the world. And the usage is, in some cases, far bigger than even Western countries. The number of app downloads is number 2 in India, and we have surpassed the United States even. So people are using the mobile phones, particularly what is known as the smartphone, which is nothing but a small computer only. It's like a little laptop, for doing many, many things, whether it is watching videos and entertainment, whether it is watching news, whether it is doing financial business transactions, whether people are using WhatsApp for do their small businesses. The medium and small scale manufacturers, they cannot live without a WhatsApp, because they conduct a lot of business in WhatsApp. Not only meetings, but they send files across and using WhatsApp, etc., etc. So without the mobile telephony networks, this is obviously not possible. So we have about 500 million active internet users, of which nearly 80% is mobile internet, and 40% of them, they access the internet on the go. That means they're out on the road, or even in the house, they're going from one room to the other, or they're walking around in the office. They are always connected. So imagine a population of 500 million K, which is twice the population of Europe and nearly twice the population of United States, always on the mobile internet and connected. So that's a huge population. And considering the fact that nearly 30% of Indian population is very young, below the age of 25. So there are these young people who have the mobile network always in their hands, and they are conducting themselves for business, for personal use, etc. And behind this is the gigantic three companies which I just mentioned to you about. So you can imagine how telecom industry is going to grow, and how telecom will be a major enabler in any walk of your life, whether it is entertainment, whether it is news, whether it is conducting business, and you will do it 24/7. So in the middle of the night, if you're making a call to a doctor, the cost of the call is only 5 rupees maybe, but the value of the call is between life and death. So that is the importance of mobile telephony. And there are many, many other examples I can give. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we are in very exciting times. The telecom sector in India, which is already the second biggest in the world, is very soon probably will be the biggest. And associated with this industry are many, many things. For example, the telecom equipment, mobile telephones, the tower network, the radio network, the core infrastructure, and a lot of other small and medium scale enterprises who don't have even a laptop at home. They just use the mobile phone in doing their businesses. It could be a simple thing like stockbroking or house sales or whatever business they are in. So behind this, you must remember, is the large telephony network of India. We are already in 4G and we will go ahead and invest in 5G very, very soon. And we will, the number of mobile connections in rural areas has surpassed the number in the urban areas. We are about 1.3 billion, of which about 55% is in the rural areas. So we are growing everywhere. It's not that we are growing in the Bombays and Delhis of the world, but we are going all over India. And behind this, therefore, is our economy. And our economy, in order to make it a $5 trillion economy, which is the vision of the government of India, behind this is the mighty mobile telephony infrastructure and the entire telephony infrastructure. So, my friends, we are in probably the fastest growing business of modern times. Thank you.
Sir, since I'm recording this video, I'm Kundan here, by the way, from the background voice. I don't think I'm going to end this video because I was really enjoying your lecture. So can we inculcate 3 questions here about telecom sector, sir?
Sure.
I know this is very impromptu and you may not be comfortable giving answers to all of them, but then you can skip them if you're not comfortable.
Sure. No.
Okay. So 3 questions I always get, and I'm now passing the ball to you. Obviously, I give them, my learners also answer about them. Especially, I tell them more on the financial side, that what are the ratios they have to use and how to look at the balance sheet of any of the telecom sector company. But if any learner is asking you from qualitative perspective that how to analyze a telecom company, what exactly I should look into them qualitatively, then what are 3 qualities of any company or as per se telecom company you would like to see as an investor yourself, as a retail investor yourself?
Number 1, you should see the subscriber base. At the end of the day, the money comes from subscribers. The larger the number of subscriber base, that is obviously the most important. The second thing is what is called, in the telecom industry, there's a thing called churn, which means about 95% of subscribers are prepaid subscribers, which means they can switch quickly from one network to the other. So we call it churn. That means the subscriber churns out of the network 1 and goes into network 2. He actually has 3 SIM cards, One, he has put it up. Now most of the phones have dual SIM, so 2 are inside this phone and 1 is in his pocket. So what happens is, suppose one particular subscriber is giving some offers, so he buys that SIM cards and uses it for outgoing calls, because let's say he's bought a SIM card of a particular company and it's got 30 rupees off for the month, so he'll buy that and he will use it for outgoing calls. But one card he keeps constant, which is the incoming card, when he gets incoming calls, because that card is with his, that number is with his friends and family and etc. So this is therefore we have to see which company's card is the incoming card, because that has the least amount of churn, So that is one way. One is subscriber. Associated with each subscriber is a technical jargon called ARPU, which is average revenue per user per month, which means in short, it means your mobile telephone bill per month. For example, let's say the average ARPU in India is, let's say, about 150 rupees. It's less than that, 150 rupees for the sake of argument. The average ARPU, which is $2 to, let's say, $3 on the outside, the average ARPU in the United States will be $20. The average ARPU in Europe will be $35, etc., etc. So we are a very, very low ARPU nation. That is one of the reasons why all the telecom companies are struggling. So this is the very fundamental thing, and these are all available in the balance sheet. The number of subscribers, number of people netting, what average revenue per user, all these. So one is the subscriber part of it, which is very important. The other is the structure of the company itself. That how are they running the business? I mean, have they borrowed money? Is the money from equity capital? And how, if they have a large debt, as some of the companies have, so they have to service the debt. So where have they got the debt from? Is it all long-term financial debt from international sources at low interest rates? So these are the things you need to study. As you know, very recently, one company was in the public domain. They have tried to make their company debt-free because equity is the cheapest form of capital, all of you know. So when you make your company debt-free, all that money which you are paying as interest goes straight to the bottom line, So you become more and more profitable. So that's true for any company. I'm just giving an example because telecom companies are filled with debt. Why are they filled with debt? Let me tell you one more thing. In a telecom company, the capex is the opex, which means every year you have to put a substantial amount of money in the network. So every year, let's say you put 10,000 crores in the network. So don't be under the impression you have put 10,000 crores and you don't have to put any more money for the next 5 years. No. Next year again, you will have to put 5,000 crores. The following year, another 6,000 crores. Because technology keeps changing. The radio network keeps tickling. The number of subscribers are increasing. So, and you have to continuously update the technology, which is of course expensive and also very capex loaded. So this is an industry which is very capex loaded. There is another advantage to this industry. Since 95% of the subscribers are prepaid, what does that mean? So the subscriber first pays money. That means I buy a SIM card, I buy say 50 rupee worth of talk time. So I have paid the 50 rupees first before I've even used 1 rupee of it. So their cash flow is better in these companies because they are all prepaid. So the subscriber is already paid for, let's say, his monthly ARPU, as I told you, his revenue monthly bill is, let's say, 100 rupees. He's paid at least 1/3 of it in advance. And moment he finishes the 50 rupees, he buys another 50 rupee talk time. By the way, the average talk time purchase is about 20 rupees in the market. So every time he pays the 20 rupees as he rolls along, So the cash flow is very heavy in this industry. So these are some of the nuances you have to understand. There is also a lot of, you must be reading in the press, there is a lot of, the taxes in this industry are very heavy, The government charges this industry from many, many directions. Number one is the spectrum fees, because you have to buy the spectrum. Without the spectrum, you will not be able to obviously connect to the network and service. Number two, there is a percentage fee which you pay the government in the form of a tax as a percentage of AGR, adjusted gross revenue. There's a formula by which you pay. And there are also taxes you pay on the equipment, etc., etc. So this industry is taxed from a number of places. And if you see, a lot of companies have not been able to pay the taxes, the backlog of the taxes, and they keep dialoguing with the government, will go to courts, etc. And those payments are very large payments. They're not small payments, and they're all in the public domain. So you can just check out the whole thing, So it's a very, it's not a simple industry to analyze and say, hey, why is the share price of one company this and the share price of another company is this? And on top of it, there is market sentiment and all that. Moment there is a certain news, and right now one of the companies had a certain news about a dispute in TDSAT, which is the telecom regulatory body for settlement. Between them and TRAI, which is the regulatory authority, and the settlement authority, there's one company is doing something. So again, the share prices keep tumbling down or going up, etc., depending on what news you hear. So it's a very dynamic and very interesting industry, but a very, very large industry. And also you must know that the entire e-commerce, because right now with COVID, everybody's trying to do everything at home. So they buy things at home, they sell things at home, they try to stay at home or in the office. They don't want to go out anywhere. So obviously the telecom industry, the bandwidth has gone up. So all your home Wi-Fi connections and all that, where instead of one person staying at home, now you have 5 people staying. So all the bandwidth, everything has gone. A lot of e-commerce activity has gone up. So behind this e-commerce, whether it's Amazon, Flipkart, Jumart, etc., there is all this telecommunication network. So there are new businesses which are emerging. So those companies, telecom companies who are into these type of businesses directly or indirectly, will obviously gain more importance, and that will get reflected in their share value. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
No, sir. You have answered it, and very correctly answered. And I'm sure people will learn from this and get more aware about telecom sector. So second question which comes about telecom sector is, I think you will also say that this is very obvious. Will Idea and Vodafone survive? Your personal comment, please.
Yeah, no, I think that's my part of that company is my ex company. I worked for many years in Idea Cellular. I think they will survive because they are a very large brand. They have a large number of subscribers, And whatever I know of the company, they are extremely ethical. Their customer services are very good. Their networks are very good. They have good people manning all the positions, etc. So there's no doubt they'll survive. Now, how they'll survive, I do not know. And plus also, I think there's a more important, larger factor that in the environment there should be. It's a very large market, very very large market. Once the ARPU by some means goes away to $2, $3, $4, $5, it will be probably the largest market, even surpassing China, and especially with the data usage and various other things. So for to service such a large market, you at least need three private players. There's of course the government player is there, but you need three large players to service the market, to keep the levels of customer service, to keep the levels of pricing, to keep a healthy level of competitiveness. So I think the answer to that question, from my point of view, is yes.
Excellent, sir. Thank you for being so candid. I generally don't take that risk of giving a very upfront answers about any company's stock, but you can certainly do that. The reason behind this is also because I have to be in this industry, and without having any investment advisory license, commenting directly on the shares or any company, whether, because the biggest problem with the idea right now is like the share price ranges from 4 rupees to 12 rupees, and a lot of people get sucked into it. So they come to me asking me whether they can buy it or not, and at that point of time I have to be ethical and following the law of the land, which is like, without having investment advisory license as per SEBI, you cannot advise.
Sure,
that will be called unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
But a candid answer from you will certainly help those people who come with these questions.
As I said, this is my personal opinion.
Right. Yeah. But then opinion from someone who has worked in this industry for a very very long time. So I'm sure this opinion will be valued by many investors. Now I had a third different question, but then since you took the name of China, okay, in your last answer, I wanted to ask you about one thing, which is what kind of potential you see in the manufacturing sector within this telecom sector. I mean, manufacturing part of the telecom sector, where a lot of manufacturing of telecom equipments will happen in India. Do you think learning curve is very very high, where it's something which is impossible to achieve, or you can see, so we know that there are three large players, which is fine, but then these three large players will be supported by many vendors, small manufacturers, suppliers, and do you see a potential of any such companies coming or evolving in India itself, and where probably investors will get early opportunity to invest and make good money?
I think you have asked probably the most interesting question in the telecom sector today, because everybody is struggling with that. Mobile phone manufacturers, they do mostly assembly in India. They are struggling with the fact that imports of imported componentry are not coming in from China, and they are held up over in the ports, etc. So they can't do their manufacturing properly. From the network point of view, the network equipment partners like Nokia, Ericsson, and all that, Huawei is another Chinese importer. So those equipment also have to be started. One has to start manufacturing here. I think because the industry is so large, as far as mobile handsets is concerned, that particularly the government of India has already taken major steps, and all the big brands are here, Samsung and all that, trying to do some amount of manufacturing, and they have set up very large facilities. So I think you're right, the learning curve will be very fast, and people will start seeing an opportunity here of manufacturing, if not all the components, most of the components and most of the equipment and most of the mobile phones in India, because that will make it will create a lot of jobs, it will create a lot of technology for us. We'll also learn all this technology, and we will be able to be more self-sufficient, and we may not be 100% self-sufficient, but we'll be far more self-sufficient than we are today. It may take a little time because these things don't shift quickly, but it will happen. But here I must say that the government of India has to do more work in the ease of doing business. They've done a lot of work, but they have to do far more work. If we want to be number 5 economy in the world with $5 trillion, the number 6th economy in the world, So our ease of doing business also should be number 6 and not this large number. We are in double digits and so on and so forth. I think Indian manufacturers are smart and astute, and people do want to invest in India. There's a lot of large amount of money they want to invest. So I think manufacturing base, a lot of it will shift into India from overseas, whether China or otherwise. And certainly the telecom equipment manufacturing and mobile handset manufacturing is really an important opportunity for us to create jobs and make ourselves more self-reliant.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your video and your kind words also. Any final thing you want to say?
No, I'm okay, and I'm very happy to be here. And I think you've got 30,000 paid subscribers today, and I wish you quickly multiply that many-fold very soon.
Thank you, sir.